Good afternoon, everyone. We're your hosts, Grant Cohn, Jack Hammer. Jack Hammer writes for Santa Rosa Press Democrat. I write for all 49ers. Jack Hammer writes there sometimes too. We're a team. Anyway, Jack, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. This game is on Sunday. I'm flying out on Saturday. Things are moving. Things are happening. Today's the day off. Two more practices. Well, three more practices. Practice tomorrow and then Thursday and Friday. We have a full show. We got like 8 topics. Let's jump right in. And we're going to start with, of course, this game, but from the defensive perspective. Can the defense win the game for the 49ers this week, in your opinion?
I think they can. I think the defense is the strength of the team right now, in my opinion, going into week one. With the pass rush, the guys they have up front, and the linebacker group, I think they're pretty healthy in the secondary as well. And when you look at what this quarterback matchup, Garoppolo and Lance, Garoppolo and Goff. Goff's been awful the last 4 times he's faced the 49ers. Now that he doesn't have that running game. And I definitely think that they could take advantage of him and win this game just with some turnovers that give easy points for the offense.
Yeah, they absolutely can win this game. I mean, I don't think Goff's going to have a good game. He's got that right tackle, Penei Sewell, who was struggling in preseason. I don't know if they can protect him, even though they have a good center and left tackle. They don't have any wide receivers other than Tyrell Crosby. The only way is if they would run for like 200 yards, but I don't see the Niners giving that up. So really, the Niners defense should play extremely well. Only thing that could hurt them is the offense. Is if the offense came out and turned the ball over a bunch of times, or special teams, something like that. And that does happen sometimes week one. You give up a return, you fumble the ball on special teams. There's those execution errors, but that's the way the Niners, pretty much the only way the Niners blow this for their defense.
Yeah, I think so. When you look at the 49ers and their week one games, at least, since Garoppolo's been here, 18, 19, and 20, the defense has played relatively well. It's like you said, a defensive mistake or a special teams mistake, or turnovers by the offense that have cost them. As long as they don't get a pick six or a punt blocked, deep in their own territory, I think that the defense should hold this down so that's a relatively smooth game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun watching Penei Sewell have to go against 4 or 5 different defensive ends and see how he adjusts. It's going to be pretty rough for him, I would imagine. I'm saying 13 points for the Lions. What do you think?
That sounds about right. I'd say right. That sounds right in that area. 14, 13. 17, right in that area.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's stick with the defense. Nick Bosa and D Ford should play, but both will be on pitch counts. We don't know how much either will play, but it's fair to assume probably third downs and a little more. Is this a concern? Do you think the Niners? I mean, we have actually no idea how much these guys are going to play. I mean, is there a point where they need to play X amount for the Niners to win this game?
Not Ford as much as Bosa. Ford, he was really good in 2019, basically playing like he was on a pitch count, right? They didn't use him on, regularly. He was used sparingly when he was available. So I don't see the Ford one being so much of a worry. The Bosa one maybe a little bit more so. I'm not really sold on their defensive ends outside of Bosa and Ebicom as being able to really pressure the quarterback from the edge. So a little bit more so with Bosa than with Ford for sure on this one.
I do think they're going to need Bosa and Ford on the key third downs. I think the Niners could win without those two, but it's going to be a lot harder because while Sewell is struggling, he's still a big guy who, when he latches onto you, can block you. And I think what he's going to struggle with are guys like Ford and Bosa who work edges, who might, come to the inside, get you back to the outside. I mean, that's what's going to mess him up. But Ebicom and Armstead are going to work right into his chest. Yep. And I think he can do okay with that.
Yeah, especially this week when you don't have a mobile quarterback that's going to be moving around a whole lot. So
right,
that's definitely an issue, and that's kind of why I said I'm not really so much worried about the Ford piece because I think if you
have one,
as long as and I think we'll see. I think this is kind of a similar situation to what we saw in 2019 because Bosa didn't really play in the preseason that year either because he was coming back from injury. And I'd have to go look and see how much he played in week one of that season, but I would say. He's probably going to get 20, 30 snaps, and that should be probably enough.
Yeah, Vish is over here saying Ford on pitch count is good. Bosa shouldn't be because he is special.
Yeah, no, and I agree with him. I think that they're going to take it a little slow with him.
Yeah, I would think
That's
so.
uh-huh.
But
That's
I
what I'm saying.
think, yeah,
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, that's why I think that you'll see, Ford maybe play 15 snaps and Bosa, maybe in the 30 range because he's going to be in there. I think you want to have him in there a little bit more on base downs.
yeah, and I think you can get away with playing Eric Armstead at D end against Detroit because Goff's not going to leave the pocket. So I mean, Armstead's not going to pressure him as much from a D end spot, but he's not going to hurt you there, and you can kind of he'll be a load. He'll tire out Penei Sewell, and then he'll have to face D Ford and Nick Bosa on third down. That'll be tough.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
definitely will.
yeah. All right, moving on. Sticking with the defense though. What do you make of this Josh Norman signing? Is he going to start week one? I mean, Emmanuel Mosley wasn't practicing yesterday. Do you think this is like an emergency signing?
I don't think it's an emergency signing. I think this is about not having the situation come up what they got stuck in last year, where they had Brian Allen
The
as the
Brian
last.
Allen situation.
Yeah, they don't want to have
Yeah.
that come up again. And he's better. Josh Norman, I think, even though he's not the same guy he was, he's really only had one really good season, right?
Yeah.
2015 is his what everybody thinks of when they think of Josh Norman, but he's probably a little bit of an upgrade over Dante Johnson. So if Mosley can't go, I think you see Lenore start, and then Norman's backing him up.
Sorry, the whole time I've just been thinking that they really should make a movie called The Brian Allen Project, and it's like the Blair Witch Project, but it's a horror movie, and it's from a first person perspective, and you're just Fred Warner on the field watching Brian Allen. It's like, oh my god, and everyone's freaking out on the sidelines and stuff. That'd be pretty funny. It would be also terrifying. Brian,
Yeah.
right, can't get there, and they're really not far away from the Dante Johnson project, so this prevents that. But I wouldn't be surprised if he starts week one, Jack.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't
based on nothing, right? I just only based on the fact that hamstrings sometimes can be 3-week injuries, and we don't know if they're being cautious with him, or I'm just saying it's possible that they felt, look, we like Diamador Lenore, but do we want to start in week one? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if you had a guy who's been on the street all this time, and then you throw him out there week one with no with only 3 days of practice. That's when you have a guy like in the Nor who
Sure.
at least I'd say you let Nor go out and play and fail before you pull him off the field.
Now, luckily for the 49ers, the Lions have just the most ridiculous set of wide receivers in the league. They've got to have the worst wide receivers in the league. Let me list them off. Okay, so they got Tyrell Williams. That's their number one wide receiver. Number two, I've honestly never heard a guy. Khalif Raymond. Never heard of him.
No,
I have no idea. Okay, other guys they have. Quintez Cephas. Honestly, that's his name. Quintez Cephas. Never heard of him. Tom Kennedy. Never heard of him. Trinity Benson. Never heard of him. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I have heard of him. He went to USC.
Yeah, for that.
So they got that guy. And then Kaderil Hodge. Never heard of him, man. Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah, that's not a very good group right there.
So really, all the Niners got to worry about is T.J. Hawkinson. Hey, could Norman cover him? I know, right? On third down.
Yeah, sure. Down. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's or Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward, right? Jimmy Ward could lock him down because he's the tight end, right? So yeah.
Right. So you just put Jason Verrett on Tyrell Williams. You put Jimmy Ward on T.J. Hawkinson, and you win the game. It's going to be tough. They're going to have to run for 250, the Lions, but it's probably going to be the Niners who run for 250, more likely.
Yeah, they're going to. Yeah, hopefully they do.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Trey Lance real quick before we get into some other things. Why do you think mixing him in is going to be a pretty seamless operation? I think a lot of people's minds are blown at like, how is he going to make the decision of when to bring in Trey and when to bring in Jimmy?
Because they do so much of the same things. They're able to do both the same stuff, right? They're both pocket passers at heart, but
certainly,
yeah, really with Lance, you get a little bit more of the play action game, and the only real difference when you put Lance in the game is you're able to throw in the quarterback runs off of the running game, so you're able to run your zone reads and those kind of things. I think that's the only difference.
Right, like in a lot of ways, Kyle could approach it as window dressing. Hey. Go in. Like just every other play, bring in another quarterback, but you're still just running. It's just handoffs. Like it's just the same plays he would have called anyways. And it's just you got the defense freaking out about who's handing the ball off next.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff. It's
Yeah.
it's everything they do. He might roll out a couple more times a game, but that's not really any major change to the offense. It's all everything they've done with Trey Lance that we've seen is within the scheme of their offense already.
Yeah, and they were really working a lot on drop back passing in the preseason. That's not what
Mhm.
their offense is in the regular season. In the regular season, it's pretty much about avoiding that as much as possible
Yeah.
because they're cutting edge in the run game and cutting edge in play action. So really, they want to run more than they throw, and either
Yep.
quarterback isn't really the engine of the offense. They're out here; they're handoff specialists most of the time.
Sure,
Yeah,
and that's the only difference with Lance is he's not so much of a handoff specialist because now he's got the ability to take off
right,
running on his own, and that's
right,
the change. That's the only change up that you're going to see. But the way the offense runs for everybody else on the field doesn't change.
right.
I know I heard George Kittle say this morning something about there's some plays that he hasn't heard before, but I think really that's just the quarterback keeping the ball. There's not a whole lot else that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the angles for the blocking in the running game are different when the quarterback's in the pistol or the shotgun, and when the running back's offset as opposed to in the I formation. And it
Mhm.
it is probably difficult. We saw the Niners struggle with it at times back in the Roman era, where you're trying to master like every single freaking run and blocking scheme in the world, and you're kind of like mediocre at all of it as opposed to mastering one of them.
Yeah.
But this team has been together, kind of building an offense slowly for 4 or 5 years. They should be able to do it, I think. Well, we'll see. Be something to watch. It's hard to be good at everything, I guess.
No, I mean, they should be able to do it. It's just a matter of now how much is Shanahan going to be willing to put Lance out there?
Yeah. Even if he has a broken finger and they don't want him to throw, which is fine, I would still play him week 1. Maybe you don't have to against the Lions, but just if he's out there handing the ball off, he's a terrific decoy. You never even have to run him. Just go in, hand the ball off a few times, and see if it sparks a few big runs for someone else.
Yeah, like we
Yeah,
saw against the Raiders with
yeah,
Mostert, going around the edge, for sure.
absolutely. Because that's pretty much what he was doing in that Raiders game, right? He was handing off.
Yeah, he
Go
was
in
just
there
handing.
and then like give a nice little fake afterward.
Yeah, and the only time there was only one time where he had to keep it because the guy just dove in so hard on it didn't have a choice.
Right.
Hmm.
49er 365 says, what y'all think about their coach? LOL.
The coach is fantastic. I love this guy. He's like the Lions version of Jim Tom Sula. He's just a he's a he's a
Yeah,
he's a quote machine.
absolutely. It's kind of weird. It's weird how some teams are going about hiring people. So he seems like he's kind of like a character. And then the coordinators are Anthony Lynn and Aaron Glenn, who both played. Anthony Lynn's a former head coach, so Dan Campbell has support there. And then they also have Dom Capers and Todd Wash. So there's a lot of like experience in the background, but it's like the experienced guys don't get the jobs anymore. You need someone fresh and reinvigorating. But there's a lot of wise people helping, and this team may not be as poorly as like ridiculous as you think. There's actually some Dom Capers on this team.
Yeah, there's some good coaches on this team. I don't.
Yeah, Anthony
This is
is a
a
good coach. He's a good coordinator.
Yeah, they put some good coaches around him, and I know we talk about how the talk has all been about how bad Detroit is, and I think how bad the Flyers are going to beat them and those kind of things. I really see this is going to be. I think this game's going to be closer than people think. I think it's going to be tighter.
Tell me, what do you think?
What?
Because you're way better at prognosticating exact scores than I am. There's a decade's worth of evidence on this.
Well, the only reason I say that
Saying
is,
I'm not bad.
yeah, and I think we're going to get into it a little bit here, but the 49ers under Shanahan haven't been. It's not like they're explosive week 1.
That's a good point.
And so I don't see them going out there and putting up 34 points unless their defense scores a couple of times. I see this being
2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I see this being probably, I see them scoring maybe 20, 23 points right in that ballpark, and if it's, who knows, I mean, this,
Especially when Trey doesn't play, man, I'm with you. I can see it. I can
yeah,
see it. I can see it.
and week 1 games are always crazy. It doesn't matter who's playing, that's how you get,
a lot of penalties, turnovers. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's how you get a 49-7, 49ers win, back when, Dennis Erickson made his debut, right? 49-7 or
vault.
yeah,
Nice.
or you get, what was it,
Chip Kelly winning, or
Yeah,
Jim Tomsula winning week 1. Yep.
Yeah, They
Maybe
both
Dan
blew out.
Campbell winning week 1. Just kidding.
Right. They blew out. I think one of those teams they beat a Minnesota team that might have even made the playoffs later on that year. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's weird stuff happens in the first game of the season.
it does. Yeah, I think that Teddy Bridgewater started in that, if I remember correctly. Anyway, Thomas says, aren't you just tipping the play off when you rotate Jimmy and everybody knows what he does and his limitations are? I mean, I think what we're saying is you can run the same runs with a lot of them, just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's funny when you look at 2019. Everybody acts like like the offense is handicapped if you have Jimmy Garoppolo in there. But in 2019, the offense ran the ball great with Jimmy Garoppolo just handing it off. So
yeah, I mean, to me, the goal every week for this team should be what they did to the Packers in the NFC Championship game. And like, because everyone says, oh, well, it's nothing against Jimmy that he threw 8 times. Yeah, absolutely. If you can do that to teams. That's what you're built to do. If you can run the ball 80% of the time in a game, do that. Absolutely do, because that means you just won.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
If you can, and that's the only difference. Like I said earlier, and I go back to it because I wrote the article last week. To start Trey Lance is all you're doing when you put in Trey Lance out there is you're getting another explosive player on the field that can make a big play. You can run the same offense, but now you've got things that can come off it. And if anything, when you look at this question, it should say, aren't you tipping the playoff when you rotate Trey in,
of course,
instead of Jimmy?
Right, because it's almost the way they're seem to be planning to use him is like the Taysom Hill role, which is very clear what Taysom Hill's going to do when he's in the game. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. Real quick, Frank, Hannah, thank you for becoming a new member. Appreciate you.
It's awesome.
All right. Can Garoppolo and Shanahan figure it out week 1? What do you think?
They need to, because these two guys, when you put them together, it's been a little bit of a problem, right? They're 1-3 together, or Shanahan's 1-3.
Week 1, yeah.
Week 1 as the head coach of the 49ers, they're 1-2 together.
Notorious for their slow starts. Yeah.
Yeah. Garoppolo's had some really bad games as a starter. You look at even the game they won, he didn't play very good. His best performance was last year, and he still didn't play that good. It was all based off of one touchdown throw that Raheem Mostert took 80 yards. But other than that, he was pretty mediocre even last year. So I think when you put those two guys together, there's definitely some struggles that kind of lead you to, like I was saying earlier, where this game's going to be tighter than it should be, or we think it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at this is Garoppolo. This is more on Shanahan than Garoppolo. Like, if Shanahan puts the game in Garoppolo's hands, I don't have high hopes for Jimmy. But I'm negative, I guess. But that's the main mistake. I'm not going to blame Jimmy for being Jimmy. I'm blaming Kyle for unnecessarily putting the game into the hands of his weakness. And it's not just Jimmy that's the weakness. It's the pass protection. It's the wide receivers dropping passes. It's the whole passing game. This is a run-first team, supposedly. It's how they draft. That's how they build themselves. And I think they can win running the ball at will. Last year, what happened? The run game didn't quite work early in the game, and they didn't really stick to it. And they kind of put the game in the hands of Jimmy when there was no Debo, no Ayuk. Kittle got hurt, and they lost. And they should have won.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. They with Garoppolo's thrown an average of 31 passes a game in his 3 starts under Shanahan in week 1. That can't happen. There's just no reason for that to happen with the running game that they have.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for him to be dropping back.
They throw. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. There's no excuse for him to be dropping back 30 times this game.
No, they don't need him. They don't need it to happen. Whichever quarterbacks are out there, primarily hand off, they should be leading. This should be easy. This is a layup. It's a layup.
They should be able to run the ball through him. That should be their goal.
Yeah. And I think part of the reason that they've had struggles week 1 is that either they didn't run the ball effectively or they didn't commit to it. So as long as they can just do that, that should minimize a lot of the mistakes. Because when I envision the mistakes happening on offense, it's through the passing game. It's a missed block, it's a sack, it's a turnover, a pick, those kind of things. Those are the things that'll lose this game or keep it tighter than it should be.
Right, 100%. Because this is a team that's built. Everything about this team is built to be run heavy. Yeah. They're built to run. They're built to be a team that's running the ball 55-60% of the time. As strange as that might sound to people who Kyle Shanahan.
I agree, and I think it would be nice to see the 49ers come out week 1 and, I'm going to use some cliches, establish their identity. But honestly, show some confidence in who you built and who you are, and don't come out and try trick the Lions. Oh, the Lions think we're going to run, so let's pass. Like, oh no, don't do that. You can beat the Lions however you need to beat them, playing to your strengths. You can definitely beat the Lions playing to your strengths. So do that.
Yeah, I think that's the case for the 49ers with almost every team on their schedule. If they go out and play their game, I think they're set up really well with their defense and their running game to have a heck of a season. They just need to stick to it.
I mean, in a sense, like the Titans do, right? The Titans are pretty simple with what they do, and I don't think they're ever going to win a Super Bowl. Maybe they will, but they're very consistently good. And I think the Niners could be kind of right there too if they would just stick to them being themselves. Like the way I mean, you can say a lot of stuff about the Harbaugh years, but they were very adamant about being themselves. And I think honestly, their worst year, 2014, was they got away from that. And the reason they did was you couldn't have that identity with Jonathan Martin at right tackle. End story. Couldn't have it.
Right.
Couldn't do it.
Right. Yeah. They had a lot of troubles there once the center got hurt against Denver. Everything just
good point. Yeah, the two of those guys going down. People forget those Harbaugh teams had killer offensive lines. Killer.
Oh yeah. People. I don't understand why people are so down on that era of 49er football, but that's a whole nother story. Because all they did was win.
It's a great topic, and I think we'll come back to it in 5-10 years once maybe we're past the Shanahan era, because they're always kind of put in contrast to each other, and people are partial to the new style. But maybe in the future we'll have more of an appreciation for what Harbaugh can do.
Yeah,
because everyone's like, well, he was so behind the times in his offense. Well, I mean, his running game was pretty freaking good. I mean,
they put up a lot of points, and they had a good defense. They played to their strengths. I mean, I don't know how you can really complain about that.
That is true. All right, let's get into some other stuff.
Okay.
What do you think is Jimmy Garoppolo's best quality as a player?
I'm gonna steal from John Lynch. I'm gonna say he's got the it factor. No, I'm joking with you a little bit there, but it really is. It's the fact that I think the players buy into him, and so he does kind of exude a leadership quality, because he's been in the league, even though he's had his ups and downs. He does he looks like a leader. He portrays himself as a leader, like the way that that's the aura that he gives off as somebody that's a leader, and for whatever reason, the guys that have been here for a long time love him. And I think that's part of it.
I 100% agree with you. I'm glad you didn't say something physical, because I'm not that into his skill set. It's okay. His releases, whatever, the way he throws the ball is fine, but no, you're right. He's a really good teammate. The locker room buys in, and he's the good soldier. He'll go along with anything. He will do what's best for the team. A lot of quarterbacks would not be cool with this 2-quarterback system. Jeff Garcia, I don't think would be cool with this. Steve Young, I don't think would be cool with it. I don't think Joe Montana. Most quarterbacks would be like, no, absolutely not. And Jimmy's like, yeah, if that's what the coaches want me to do, if that's what's best for the team, yeah, it's cool. I'm good. And that's him, right? Whatever, it's cool. Yeah. And he's a good soldier. He'll go along with anything. I think that's part of the reason his teammates like him is he doesn't call attention to himself. He's not a diva. He's like the most low key quarterback you could have.
Yeah, he's just whatever. Yeah, and then I think that helps him out when he struggles, and people start to get on him, because then his teammates come to his aid, because he doesn't try to defend himself. He just kind of takes the slings and arrows and lets them all come at him, and then his teammates are the ones that come in there and back him up.
Agree. So it is he's a good teammate, a good soldier. He's very coachable. Absolutely. It was interesting. I talked to Scott McCloughan on the phone after the Niners made the trade for Garoppolo and asked him, like, why is this the move? Why do you like Jimmy? And what he said is he's a great guy. They're going to love him there. I mean, he wasn't saying that he has like the greatest skill set of all time, but he said, look, and this was back in 2017 when they first brought him. They're going to love him. He is so, like, I don't know if down to earth was what he said, but he doesn't put himself above anyone. And that's kind of rare for a quarterback. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he doesn't have that.
Yeah. Okay. What is Jimmy Garoppolo's worst quality?
The way he throws the ball, and that's really broad. But what I mean by that is the fact that he throws it without his legs really so much that he doesn't really have the ability to drive the ball in there. That's why you see the ball float on him so much. He's a very top half thrower. He doesn't really use his legs enough.
That's true. I'm gonna go back to his temperament, and I think it's kind of similar with his best quality. The way he's so kind of like, uh, the way he kind of goes with the flow and is a good soldier.
Hmm.
I think on the other way is like, how much does he care? That's the way I think. I mean, he makes the same mistakes all the time and gives and smiles. Like he'll have a day where he'll throw a pick in camp, and he threw a pick the day before, and then afterwards he'll talk to the media, and he saw smiles, and you'll be like, "Hey Jimmy, like what happened on that throw when you got picked?" And he'll be like, "Oh, it's working through things in camp, but," and then you say, "Well, how do you think you're playing in camp?" "Oh, I think I'm doing really well," and I wonder like how, not that he doesn't, how much does he care? Because again, I grew up with Steve Young and Jeff Garcia. Those guys
Right.
were fiery, and you could watch it, you could see it anytime they're on the field. If it meant everything to them, everything. And if they didn't play well, they were pissed. I remember I was like, what? They just won this? No, they were. What year was it when they lost big to the Eagles week 2 and Steve Young got benched? What year
That
was
was
that?
the Super Bowl year in
94.
'94.
Okay,
Hmm.
so I was 5. I was like freaking 6 years old, and I remember we were, I think, Santa Cruz. My brother had just he was 18. He'd gone to Santa Cruz, and we were on the boardwalk, and I just caught the glimpse of the Niners down big. I was like, wow, I didn't think the Niners lost. And I remember looking at Steve Young yelling at George Seifert. Remember Seifert standing there, Steve Young's behind him, and I was 6 thinking, Steve Young's gonna knock him out.
Yeah.
He's gonna knock him out. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, whoa, I can't. I thought everyone got along on this team. This is I grew up. I think I grew up on that day. I've never
Uh-huh.
seen Jimmy be like that. They talk about angry Jimmy. I've never seen that. All I see is shrug it off, smile it off, and that bothers me.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. And that does make sense. It's nice because he comes back from his mistakes and picks up so well. And I think part of it is
True.
because of that mentality. But yeah, it'd be nice to see him want to chew somebody out
Yeah.
for making a mistake, or just if chew out Shanahan, for example, for pulling him out of a drive. If he's doing well, can you imagine, like on Sunday he's doing really well and all of a sudden they pull him out and something happens and he starts chewing out Shanahan? That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Or, hold himself to a little bit of a higher standard. I mean, I
Hmm.
think he's basically his mind. I can't get in his mind, but it's like, I'm playing the game I love. I got about $90 million. It's great. I can't complain. It's like, dude, come on, man. Stop throwing picks to linebackers. How about that?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, you could be so much more than a
Hmm.
good-looking, handsome, rich NFL quarterback. You could be a good quarterback. You could be a franchise quarterback if it just meant a little bit more to you. And I don't know that it doesn't. It just, you don't show that it does. And I think that's why part of the reason that you're
Yeah,
not necessarily a franchise quarterback here anymore.
yeah. His out.
Oh, I lost you, Jack.
You see me now?
Say it again. Say it again. What'd you say?
I was just gonna say his outward expressions just don't show it, and maybe he has it underneath, but we just don't see it.
Exactly. His outward expression to me comes across as the temperament of a backup.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm
yeah,
just happy to be out. I'm starting, man. This is great. I do a pick. That's all right. Well,
uh huh,
still paying me 27 million, right? I still got to pay me 20. We're good. We're
uh huh.
good. That's all I'm saying.
Let's
Sorry,
go get him
Jimmy.
on the next
Please.
play, guys. Uh
Yeah,
huh.
like prove me wrong, man. Like, Steve Young wanted to be great. Do you want to be great? Everyone could see that Jeff Garcia wanted to be great. Do you want to be great, Jimmy?
Hmm.
Or are you like, man, this is the freaking life. I love this. This is the Steven says Hasty will develop to be the most physical, most smash mouth running back we'll have on that roster. Look at how he runs, punches through, Lynch vibe. I love Hasty too. I love how excited Niner fans get on the backups. I love the rags to riches stories on this team.
Oh, they love JaMychal Hasty. They loved him
Yeah,
last year too, and I think he's going to be a better player this year.
you got to love the undrafted free agents. Those are some of the best stories on it. I like the whole undrafted free agent thing in the NFL. Most of these guys are like Nick Bosa's and Eric Armstead's, and they've been ranked by rivals since they were 14. And then you
Hmm.
got these other guys who just had no one really pushing them or hyping them up, and they outworked people like Dante Pettis and Jalen Hurd. It's good stories.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like that. All right,
for sure.
let's move along here. Why do I always have to take a shot at Dante Pettis? He didn't do anything. I'm
he's not
sorry,
even
Dante.
he's
He's
not
not
even in
even
the league.
here. I'm so sorry. Okay, what is Kyle Shanahan's best quality?
I think this is a funny question as we're talking through this, because I think Shanahan's best quality is very similar to Jimmy Garoppolo's, and it's that the team wants to play for him. They like him, and
Mhm.
he gets everybody kind of on the same page, and they want to go out there and play with him. They like him as a leader.
Yeah. I think I feel that. To me, it's very technical with him. Like to me, it's the fact that he's really consistently ahead of the curve schematically with the run game in particular and play action too. I mean, because Greg Roman's ahead of the curve with the run game, but I don't think his play action game is quite married to like it's not it's a little bit more disjointed. Shanahan is able to be as cutting edge with the run game in every single way. And then pair it up with play action passes that look just exactly the same until the moment that it's not a run. So I think I mean him and his dad have been ahead of the curve with this stuff for like 3 decades. It's remarkable that they can continually evolve.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. That's true because he just has that knack for designing his play action to go look just like the run, like you said. But then they're also attacking that area of the defense that's having the bite on the run, which is what's making it so explosive.
And I think part of the way that he has players play for him is it's just so demonstrable that he's a genius with scheme. Like you can trust him. A lot of his ideas are going to work. And I think there's a lot of trust that players have. Like, look, it's an honor to be part of this. And if he tells me to do something, I'm going to do it because he knows what he knows what he's. So I think there's a little bit of that. I mean, Saleh had that too, but the difference between Saleh and Shanahan a little bit, Saleh had that outward expressive thing where like a defense would get a stop and he would get like you have to be held back from getting on the field. Kyle, his offense will do something and he's like looking at the playbook. He's like, I'm on to the next thing. So it's a little bit he's not the same kind of he's not emotional like Saleh.
Yeah,
but he does have buy-in. He does get buy-in. For sure.
Yeah, and that's I think like what you said. I think that's partly because of the positions that they are. I think the defensive coordinator always has that ability to be a lot more fiery than the offensive guy because the offensive guy's got to get on to the next play a little bit quicker. Because on defense, you're calling the plays, but at the same time, a lot of what's happening on the field is reaction to what you put in during the week. So there's certain things that you're going to call that they're going to you want them to stick with, but they might have come out in something a little bit different. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's a check and it's not what you called.
Absolutely. Okay. What is Kyle Shanahan's worst quality?
I think with Shanahan, his worst quality is his game management. I think he just struggles with that. I think he struggles to stay with what is the strength of his team, and he puts them in situations where instead of just sticking with it, he tries to be a little too cute sometimes, and I think it bites him more often than not.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's twofold. Is that cheating? I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination of two qualities that when mixed together can be kind of dangerous. I think he's really arrogant. Now, a lot of coaches are. Jim Harbaugh was arrogant. It's okay. Yeah. But he's arrogant to the degree where it's like he thinks he knows things before they happen. He thinks he doesn't need to see them. He thinks like he didn't need to have a quarterback competition. I just feel like there are certain things that he thinks he knows that he's wrong about. And he thinks that he's kind of the smartest guy always, and he's not. And I think the arrogance combined with the fact that I don't think he can deliver. He hasn't shown that he can deliver under pressure. Like when the pressure is big, he starts doing stuff out of character. And it's like people to this day say, well, why didn't he do this in the fourth quarter? Why didn't he run on this? It's like, I don't know. He kind of gets erratic when it's big time pressure.
Yeah. And then the problem with that is he gets bailed out by people that like him because they say, well, it's not his fault. He called a good play. The guy was wide open.
Yeah, they say Jimmy choked. Jimmy choked. Well, what about Kyle? You could say Kyle choked.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine that much pressure, Jack, calling plays in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl. But look, the fact is he had a lead in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl with the Falcons, scored 0 points. Then he had a lead in the fourth quarter against the Chiefs, scored 0 points. He did that twice.
Yeah, and he still thinks that he did the right thing at the end of the game against the Patriots.
That's the arrogance. He's always right, and he hasn't shown he can. I'm not gonna say he can't deliver under pressure because he's has more opportunities to prove us wrong, but he hasn't shown he can deliver under pressure, and that's no. I mean, it's a problem.
When it gets down to that time of the game at the end, especially in the Super Bowl, which is even more pressure than any regular season game, he's choked twice, and that's just kind of the way it is. Regardless of how you want to defend him.
And I think he's choked in the same way, where it's like, again, you have built your whole identity, philosophy, scheme on set up the play action with the run. that's what you do and kind of avoid drop back, avoid third down as much as possible. And then with a lead in the biggest moment of your season, you're going drop back. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, whoa. And like, his drop back passing game isn't that sophisticated. It's pretty standard. It's not bad. It's vanilla. I mean, it's what sets him apart is his run game and his play action game. And it's working. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, we can't do that right now because of XYZ reasons. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like Harbaugh would say, no. We're going to finish out the game doing what we do, even if it's if it's a slog. But Kyle's a little different, and then he has his reasons, and then I don't know. So that's to me Kyle's worst quality. It's his. If he were less arrogant, maybe he could address these things and fix them, and not repeat the same mistakes. I guess both Kyle and Jimmy are mistake repeaters.
Yeah, and I like what you just said there with the Harbaugh thing. We're going to do this because this is what we do best, and it might not be pretty, it might be ugly, but we're going to do that because it just makes the most sense in the flow of the game too. If I'm running the ball, it might look really ugly, and the fans might not like it, but I don't really care. They're not going to care if at the end of the game we're holding the trophy.
And that's my thing with Kyle. Like, it all looks pretty. Mm-hmm. Even in games that they lose, they'll put up a bunch of yards and there will be like a nice highlight reel of some big runs and some big throws. And it's aesthetically pleasing. It looks pretty, but you don't have to be pretty to win football games. And I think that probably would be Harbaugh. Say, okay, you didn't like the style of my offense. We didn't get enough explosive plays. Like, okay, well, we won 2/3 of the time, 3/4 of the time. Was that boring? Winning was boring for you. Okay, well, I'll just take my act to the Midwest then, where they appreciate winning still, I guess is what he would probably say.
That's what he would say.
Yeah, more or less.
That's pretty much what he said.
Don't like winning. Okay, I'll just take winning off to Michigan, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's kind of what it is. I mean, Kyle, it all looks good. It looks great. He just needs to bring it all together now. Win the game.
Yep.
Win the game. Yeah.
100%.
Human Race Wins says, can Mostert match Terrell Davis production and Shanahan? I wish, but I don't think I don't think he wants to give 300 handoffs to Mostert.
Yeah, no, he's not gonna match it in terms of like 2,000 yards
sheer
or that
volume.
kind of stuff because he's off of volume, but based off of yards per carry, I think he's probably already matching it or maybe even better than it when you look at what he does on a yards. When he does get the ball, he's just not he's not the same kind of back.
No, but in terms of just like pure rushing ability on the outside zone, he's as good as anyone I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
super good. He's got the speed and the vision and the quick decisiveness, as opposed to Tevin Coleman, who used to just never make up his freaking mind.
He just couldn't get there.
Yeah, there's that too. Art Martinez says, did you guys see the new Trey commercial with Jerry Rice? Jerry Rice catching Trey's passes. Maybe we could sign him for the season. That's the first thing I thought. I watched it and I'm like, Jerry caught it. Oh my God. If Jerry can catch it. Yeah,
hey, if he can catch the ball, at least sign him up.
And I like how he's like, well, okay, let me describe the commercial. So they're working out together. Trey, he's working out and he calls up Jerry because Jerry's working out. And they he's throwing some passes and Jerry's running routes. And then they take a little halftime to eat, to fuel up. And they eat in Chipotle because it's a Chipotle commercial. And as they're eating, they have a conversation. And Jerry's kind of giving them some advice about taking Jimmy Garoppolo's job, right? Like he's nice. Ready when they call on you. It's like, nice, Jerry, way to choose sides because I'm on that side too.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and nothing's going to make you run faster than some Chipotle, I'll tell you.
I just think it's really funny how if you become the head coach of the 49ers, you constantly have to worry about Jerry Rice, Steve Young, and Joe Montana saying stuff because you can't what are you going to say? Oh, yeah. Jerry Rice thinks it should be Trey. Oh, thanks, Jerry.
That's true. Yeah. If they just listened to Jerry Rice, they would have had Antonio Brown like 3 years ago.
True. And he just won a ring, so hard. Thank you, Art. That's our show. That was a quick one, but it was a good one. I like doing the good quality and the bad quality because it's kind of football stuff, but it's like just human stuff. And we know these people. These are characters that we cover. We know them very well, and it's fun to at least describe their best and worst qualities and put them on the table and let them figure out what to do with them.
Yeah, for sure.
We got your number now, Kyle, Jimmy.
we have you. We've taken you out. We've psychoanalyzed you, and we're ready to go.
That's right. So don't mess it up. All you got to do, hand off, let your defense win this game. That's the thing, Kyle. You don't have to be the star to win this game. Let D'Amico be the star, and you can be the star with your running game because it's a very impressive running game with a whole lot of moving parts. So
yeah, just pile in behind Big Trent Williams and Mike McGlinchey on the run game and make this thing like a 2.5 hour game and go back to Greenbrier and get ready for the next one.
That's the main thing. I mean, we always mention don't run because you don't want to put the game in Jimmy's hands. You don't want to put the game in Mike McGlinchey's hands. When you run, he's an asset. When you pass, he's the guy. He's the problem. I mean, when you pass, they're the guy that they're trying to isolate. So let him be an asset.
Yeah, exactly. Play to your strengths. Don't make McGlinchey or Daniel Brunskill be the story on Monday.
That's a good way to put it. We're going to go out on that. We don't want Mike McGlinchey or Daniel Brunskill in headlines on Monday or Sunday night because that's only going to be bad. Kyle, that's on you. What can you do? Save them from the headline. Thank you very much, everyone. Be back tomorrow. We'll find out if Trey Lance is going to be throwing. You think he's going to be throwing?
I think he should be throwing tomorrow. Yeah, because they took the thing off yesterday, right? And then didn't throw yesterday, but I think give him a couple extra days, and then tomorrow's I think the real ramp up day to get ready for the game anyway. So I think he'll be throwing. I
don't think he's going to be throwing. I think they're messing with us.
I'll bet you a nickel.
Took that thing off yesterday just to a nickel. All right, fair enough. A bottle of wine. I can't lose any more bottles of wine.
That's too rich for me. I just had to buy tickets to Hamilton. I don't have money for that.
I hope he's throwing. I would sincerely like to see Trey Lance. I'm still excited for the Lance experience.
Oh yeah, so am I. I am too.
Yeah. All right, everyone. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.